You know,
What's going on, man?
I'm a little
It's Frank Starfyre.
nice to meet you.
And, I'm a simple guy, and I live my life by really simple means, you know what I mean? And, I live by simple mottos and credos and phrases and everything because it works for me, you know what I mean? Lately, I've adopted a new...
Hey, what up, y'all? What's going on? It's your boy Frank Starfyre, and this is the Just to Be Frank podcast, season 2. Thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate you. As ever, listen, so we're doing some things differently for season 2. Actually, we're not doing much of anything differently. We're going to keep it pretty much the same way, but I'm definitely going to bring you some more content. We're definitely going to bring you some more interviews and more in-depth looks at different things that genuinely interest me. So I definitely want to thank you for joining me. If you would like to check out what happened in season 1, I'll leave a link in the description for you so you can check that out. There are about 12 episodes up there for you, so enjoy those, man. I appreciate you. Today, I have a friend of mine coming in by the name of Tamar Lopez. She is an actress, singer, dancer, and so much more. And we're going to get into exactly how we met, why we met, and just everything that's going on with her, man. And it should be dope. It's going to be fun. So welcome to the Just to Be Frank podcast. And again, I am Frank Starfyre. We're going to let Tamar in, and we're going to get this shit cracking. You know what I'm saying? I got my joint, got my whiskey. Cheers. Let's do it. I can't hear you. It's
Hey, can you hear me?
I can now. Tamar Lopez.
How are you?
I am well. Welcome to the Just to Be Frank podcast. I do appreciate you for joining me.
Thank you. I'm actually happy to be here.
Good. How was your dinner?
My dinner was good. I had some, what did I have? Oh, my brain is so fried right now. I had whole wheat pasta with some ground beef and tomato sauce.
You had spaghetti.
I had spaghetti, basically.
You really just broke down the entire ingredient of it.
I have to, because I'm so for whole grain pasta. Like I tell people, like whole grain is where it's at.
You know what? I'm actually a fan of the super greens one. I like that one.
That's good.
The whole grain one is a little too gritty for me. I'm not a fan of that taste and texture of it.
With spaghetti?
Yeah, and I know it's good for you, but it just doesn't. I don't like the way it feels in my mouth.
Okay. I get that.
It's a little gritty, you know what I mean? But I ain't gonna lie. I love spaghetti. It is one of my favorite foods because I am from a poor household. So
Gotcha.
I was poor, but I ain't gonna lie. I got a little bougie with my shit now. Now I put the turkey kielbasa in there to get that good smoke flavor.
Okay.
And I throw some Old Bay in that ambition and let it really marinate really nicely. It gives it.
Now I'm hungry all over again. Like I want to cook all over again.
You asked spaghetti. I'm like, where's my plate? But then I'm like, all right, what are you gonna do? DR it to me? Like, what am I gonna do here? Like, we haven't got that.
Teleported.
Yeah, no, we ain't got that far into the Jetsons life yet. Well, welcome. As is normal tradition, I have whiskey, and got my joint.
Nah, I wish. Oh, that's what I wish I had was a joint.
Listen, I'll tell you what. When this whole lockdown shit is over and this bullshit is all over, and you can actually come to Pennsylvania because I live in the Poconos.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
okay.
You know what I'm saying? I'm right in the Poconos. I ain't far, you know what I'm saying? But you gotta come sit on the big brown couch, and then we'll do this for real, and really get it cracking. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Love that.
So now this is literally the first time we've actually spoken.
It is.
It's the first time we've ever spoken, and we've already got more in common than you thought. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I let my hair out. Well, I don't have as much anymore, but before I cut it, it was about just like that. It was kind of locked, kind of wasn't. kind of somewhere in the middle.
Why'd you cut it?
Because it was kind of locked, kind of not.
Oh,
Somewhere in the middle.
gotcha.
So I was like, all right, fresh start. So I cut it off. I'm growing it back now, and I'm actually going to lock it for real. I just have to find a lock artist up here. But I am going to lock it. Luckily, we go gray in my family and not bald. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, thankful for the hair, Gene.
It's the little things, man. I swear, it's the little things. And I ain't gonna lie, I've been single for the better part of 10 years. So I don't have that stress level
Oh, God, yeah, dating. When it comes to like having to be, you know, up with your looks and all that.
I'm gonna give myself my facial. I don't care. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Self-care for you, not for the other person.
Right. I'm gonna take care of me. If I start to look like I'm doing the Matrix, let me know so I can. We'll go to commercial.
Oh, we'll do. Yeah, just lagging just a little bit, but like I can still hear you.
Okay, yeah, because I don't know. Zoom is weird like that. Sometimes it works properly, sometimes it doesn't. If it gets really bad, what I'll do is I'll just like I said, we'll cut to commercial and we'll bring it back. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So like what I wanted to get into initially was like I said, this is the first time we've actually spoken, and I'm like frozen here, but you can still hear me.
Yeah, I can still hear you. Yeah, you just lagged on the video, but I can still hear you.
That's fine. But you and I met through Facebook, which is a very interesting thing considering what some people would say are the ills of social media. You know what I'm saying? Like this might be considered what they call an aberration, I guess you'd say. But how do you think that worked out? Because you do a lot of your work through social media. How has social media helped you?
Yeah, social media has definitely helped me out a lot with networking. One of the things I do, I'm an actor. I do many other things, but I'm an actor, and acting is it's a hard industry to break into, especially to be successful at it, you know, to get paid or to, you know, have your name out there. And a lot of my networking experience I've gotten through Facebook. You know, I've been able to add people that are actors, you know, and make an introduction, things that I wouldn't have been able to do if social media didn't exist. You know, I don't have an agent. And so to be able to do that is just huge. Like I've been able to meet a lot of people that I wouldn't have been able to meet. On top of that, you know, being able to meet people in other industries, being exposed to other industries, being exposed just to different people from different walks of life. You know, if it wasn't for Facebook, you and I would probably not have met. So like, it's helped a lot. It's helped a lot. And I just like it for its connection value, which is what it's for.
When used properly, it's a tool like anything else. So when a tool is used properly, it does exactly what it's supposed to do.
Right.
What I think,
there's a lot of freaks on there that don't use it properly.
No, they do not.
Yeah.
And I think, but I don't know now. I don't think that's a advent of social media itself. I think that's an advent of people just suck.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So then what is the outlier? Is social media the problem, or are people the problem? And I'm inclined to believe it's people.
That's a good question. I mean, definitely people are the issue. I think social media can, how can I put it? Social media can shine a light on that, or you know, put a spotlight on that. Maybe there are things that people weren't aware of that people did that suck, that social media really, you know, shines a light on that. Right. But definitely people's behavior always kind of ruin things sometimes.
And unfortunately, nowadays we're seeing some of the worst behavior imaginable in many different aspects. And I can't lie. Now in season 1, I didn't talk politics, mainly because the election was still close and relevant, and I honestly, I still don't know what the fuck is up with that. You know what I'm saying?
Same.
You know, I know about as much about that as I do about what's going on with the coronavirus. You know what I'm saying? Now you're in New York, you're in New York.
Yeah,
And,
based in New York City.
right.
Yeah.
And I'm from New York originally. I got out 3 years ago.
What part of New York?
Queens.
Oh, nice. Was that you were born in Queens?
Born and raised. Queens, New York.
Nice.
34.
Yes, native. Oh no, I think you froze on me.
Yeah, no, I think
Okay.
we both froze, but that's okay.
Okay.
What we're gonna, like I said, what we'll do is we're gonna go to a quick commercial break real quick, and we'll come back with Tamar Lopez, and we'll continue that question. We'll be right back, y'all. Thanks for joining me. I'll be right back. I'll send you the link in there.
Cool. All right. So I'll just get off of this, right?
Yep.
Cool. Sounds good.
Perfect. All right. And we are back. Thank you for joining us. This is the Just to Be Frank podcast. I am again with Tamar Lopez. We were talking about being from, I'm from Queens, born and raised. I was born in Hollis, Queens, and then I moved to Southside Jamaica, Queens. And I'm not name dropping, but because I love him so much, but I actually went to junior high school with Lloyd Banks. And he's such I'm that old. So you know what I'm saying? But one of the coolest cats you'll ever meet in your life. You know what I'm saying? And fame didn't change him one little bit. And I'm very proud to say that I know him.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah. And then I lost my mom in 2010. I lost my grandma in 2009. I lost my mom in 2010. And it was at that point that I got depression, and I didn't know that was a thing that Black people got. To me, depression was something that only white people got. I didn't know that was a thing that affected Black people like that. I was stupid.
Now, you know better.
Oh yeah, no. But it was draining, and it took me a while to really come back to myself. Good friends helped. Definitely my brother Vega, my boy Dwayne, Ruthless, like V, like they all helped me tremendously. And then one day I was working at Ricky's, which I don't think exists anymore.
No, Ricky's exists. I love Ricky's.
Does it still exist?
Wait, Ricky's, like where they have the not all of them have it, but like they sometimes will have like a salon in there.
Yeah.
It's like you can get hair stuff.
Yep. Yeah. That was so.
Oh yeah, it still exists. At least as far as I remember, I love Ricky's.
I haven't been. Yeah, I heard they had shut down. Maybe still got one or two stores, because at the one time they
might. Now that I'm thinking, they might have, because I worked a corporate job, I think about 2-3 years ago, and there was a Ricky's that was closing down. I don't know if all of them were closing down, but that one was closing down. So
where was that?
Maybe.
Where was that?
That one was located. It was close to Bryant Park. It was the one near Bryant Park.
Yeah, that one closed, because I used to work at the one on 83rd in Columbus.
Okay.
Yeah, but I did all of them, and I was working there and I enjoyed it, but I just got tired of New York.
It's retail.
Yeah, not only that, the MTA was pissing me off. You know what I'm saying? The must take off. The must take off.
I totally understand that. Totally.
And then everything that I was around or traveling or going, but like it all reminded me of my mom and my grandma. So it was just, all right, I need to change the scenery.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I came to Pennsylvania. Not too far.
Right. Yeah, you're still in the East Coast. Still there.
Right. Because I ain't gonna lie, I'm not a fan of heat. Florida's out of the question. They have dinosaurs. Not moving there. California is always on fire, so that's not exactly my cup of tea right now.
On fire plus earthquakes.
That too. Which, you know what I mean? But are you from the Lower East Side originally?
Yeah. So I was born in the Bronx.
Okay.
So I was born. I think they call it like Morrisiana, I'm still trying to figure out what part of the Bronx that is, because my mom would say it's the South Bronx, and I'm just like, it's kind of getting up there. It's not fully up there, but it's not exactly the South.
It's not like Fordham. And like,
yeah, I mean, it's closer to Fordham than I would say like the South Bronx. Like it's closer to Fordham than it is to like Hunts Point.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
But I was born there, and then I was raised in the Lower East Side.
Okay.
So, I have that New Yorker edge to me.
Alphabet City?
Huh?
Alphabet City?
Yeah, a little lower than Alphabet City. So, right, where I grew up was about maybe like a 20, 30-minute walk from South Street Seaport. So I was right on the river, the East River.
I know exactly where you're at.
Yeah, the projects, the projects on the East River.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know them. Didn't go through there much.
LaGuardia houses.
Yep, didn't go through there much, but they always had good weed over there.
My mom, I lost my mom recently, actually, earlier this year.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, earlier this year. So thank you. Yeah, so I can understand the whole thing that you mentioned about depression and all that, but she wasn't a big fan of that, of weed. So I didn't get to try the Lower East Side weed.
She was old school.
She was old school. She was old school about that. So I was like, I'm not gonna ever smoke weed until I leave this house, because she's gonna whoop my butt.
Yeah.
So I've definitely tried like weed from the Bronx, Brooklyn, but hopefully maybe someday I could try some LES weed.
Well, I don't know what the quality is now. Nowadays, you might want to avoid that shit. It might be angel dust at this point.
No, well, see, yeah, like I'll vet. So I'll ask people who they know.
Right.
People that I trust.
Right.
So far, Brooklyn takes the cake.
Okay.
Like, no disrespect to the Bronx, but Brooklyn.
No. Listen, I used to have to go from Queens to Linden and Powell, Cooper and Evergreen. Like, there was some good spots back in the days, man. I ain't gonna shout them all out. I don't want to blow any spots up like that.
No, of course. No, Brooklyn has it, honestly.
Brooklyn has some shit, man. But
it's just getting pricey, though. Oof.
Everything's getting pricey, man. But
it is, yeah. But I hear some. I mean, obviously, it's still, the legality of it's different. But I'll hear some of my California friends tell me how much they pay for like an eighth, and I'm like, what?
Well,
like, I'm out here paying like an arm and a leg for an eighth, and you guys, man.
Because you're paying for shipping and handling, because they're getting it from California.
The middleman.
They're getting it from there. And I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast. Excuse me, I have to take a drink every time I say his name.
I know.
Every time I say Joe Rogan, I got to take a drink, because apparently I'm a very huge fan, apparently. But he had on I forget the journalist's name, but she's somebody who like follows cartels and talks to actual people who are in it. And that's a very, very dangerous but very interesting profession, because that's real journalism to me. Like, what they got going on in media now, that's not journalism. But I'm almost 40. I'm 38. So I remember Cronkite. I remember Jack Cafferty and Kaidi Tong on Channel 11 News at 10. And they gave you the news. They didn't give you their opinions. You know what I'm saying? The opinions
they let you form your own.
Right. Opinions were for like Good Day New York. You know what I'm saying? Like, type shit, man. But you're an actress. You're a Broadway actress.
I would say, I studied theater for sure. I'm actually trying to get into the film route, but I definitely studied theater. Definitely, the way that I started with acting, it's funny. Growing up watching movies, I would ask, like, I would, as a kid, I would get confused with the actors. I didn't know they were actors. I thought they were the actual character. And so my mom explained, she was like, no, these are actors. And I'm like, what is that? So trying to explain it to a 7, 8-year-old, she's like, oh, they get paid to play pretend. I'm like, I want to do that. Like, I want to do that.
Sounds like fun.
So I actually did start by, she put me in a program that was nearby in the Lower East Side at the Abrams Art Center for musical theater. So I did start by learning like Broadway tunes and learning about musicals. So I do know about that. And I did study theater, but I'm trying to get into film. That's really what I want to do. Of course, if I ever do Broadway, that'd be awesome. I do love Broadway.
Well,
yeah.
They say that the general rule is Broadway actors or stage actors are real actors, and then those who do movies are paid performers. You know what I'm saying? That's why somebody like Sir Patrick Stewart is such a great actor, because he's a theater actor first, and he brings that gravitas to film. You know what I'm saying?
I got to see him. Yeah, I got to see him on Broadway. Him and Sir Ian McClellan. Ian
McKellen.
Ian McClellan. Yeah, I just finished work, and so there's so many meetings I can't form words. Yeah, they did a production of, I don't know if you've heard of this play, but Waiting for Godot.
I did. I heard of it.
Yeah, Waiting for Godot, and they did it, and I was just like, oh, just veterans, they're amazing. But yeah, there is that rule. It's just, it's a matter of the training and the technique. So when you're in theater, it's very different from filming or doing a TV show.
Very much.
Usually with the film, if you mess up a line, you can just say cut and you do it over again. Right. Ideally, you don't want to do that, because sometimes you're wasting time, wasting film. That's money.
Right.
But with theater, you learn. If you mess up, you just keep going. You learn to get into the character, and that helps you to there's just the things you learn in theater you can definitely take into film. And so, yeah, theater actors, I feel like theater actors don't often get their due credit.
No, they don't, because people look at the Tonys as a fun time. And I mean, I can't lie. I have seen one Broadway play in my entire life, and it was Phantom of the Opera. And
that's a good one.
I loved it. The music, the pageantry, the fucking costume with the mask. That shit was so dope to me, man. And as a hip hop head, I disseminated it like that. Like, I was looking for bars in that melody that they had going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I loved it. If you had a choice between Broadway, like true Broadway, not off Broadway, like Bright Lights, Broadway, Winter Garden Theater type, you know what I'm saying?
Hamilton.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you had that, or starring in the next Batman movie or something, which would you take?
Oh man, that's so hard. It's so hard because, like, musicals are my lifeblood. Like, I was on break from work and I was listening to a musical and I was like getting into it. But I love the visibility of film. Like you mentioned, like you only saw one Broadway show. Right. And the thing about that is Broadway isn't accessible to everybody.
Right. It's expensive.
Like, I didn't get to see my first Broadway show until I think it was a teen. I saw Wicked. And that was because my mom was gifted those tickets by her employer. Mm-hmm. So I would have to choose the Batman, just because as an actor, I want as many people to see me as possible. And movies, more people see you than Broadway.
Either of those answers was okay for me. But I'm so proud. You see the symbol on my head.
I have a Batman T-shirt somewhere, but yeah.
That symbol tattoo right here, man. I got
nice,
man. But I'm a comic book head from way back. I don't know, like, I got Harley Quinn and Wolverine. You know what I'm saying? I'm ahead, man. Like, honestly, I don't know if you can see it. I'm gonna shift my camera a little bit.
Yeah.
See this right here?
Oh.
That is the original Wizard cover from 1992 when they first introduced the Nightfall storyline.
Wow.
And since then, it's battered, it's bruised, it's beat up, and I don't give a shit. It's mine.
But it's up there.
It's mine. And people are like, "Yo, you're a pack rat." Yes, I throw it. Because everything is special to me, especially if you give. Like, I've got an ex-girlfriend, and her daughter gave me little scribbles of paper with little drawings of flowers and shit on them. I still have them. I still got
them. So it's the sentimentality of it.
Yeah, like bits of, like baubles don't matter to me. You know what I'm saying? Things like that, things of the heart, things that you like, those really matter. Those things that you create. Artists, to me, artists are the epitome of what our society can produce, because it takes a lot to be an artist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, I find that most artists are kind of, especially very talented people, and very like artists like that, they have some element of tragedy or something in their past. You know what I'm saying? Do
Yeah.
you have anything like that that you're comfortable sharing? Or
Oh God. Yeah, and I could totally share. Honestly, and I try to change my perspective on how I look at it, but it is in a way, I guess, tragic or sad. But the way I look at it is, from the moment I was born, like the odds were kind of stacked against me.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is, my mom, she was a single parent. My father was absent while I was growing up, and she was an undocumented immigrant.
Mm.
And my mom, where I was born, was Bronx, Lebanon Hospital. Where my mom was living, because she had no place to stay because she was undocumented, was a halfway home. She wasn't there because she was on any substances or anything like that. It's just she had no place to go. And so from a baby, that's where I was brought to. Right across the street from Bronx, Lebanon, was into that house. And growing up, I did see my mom. She married my stepfather. He was abusive, also addicted to substances. And so growing up, I don't remember all this, but one of my first memories was of my mom being abused by him. And so I grew up with a lot of dysfunction. My mom tried to, eventually she, got away from him. She separated, got into her own spot, but we were in a shelter for a while when I was like 4 to 5. Growing up, I was very aware. I was also separated from my family too. So I have 2 siblings on my mom's side, but they're back in Honduras. So I didn't grow up with a lot of my family. I grew up very alone, very isolated. So there was definitely a lot of chaos, a lot of sadness, which I do think informed my artistry, because I spent so much time alone, so much time kind of processing this as a kid growing up really fast. I took that pain and I put it into my art. I would sing, I would make songs, I would reenact scenarios, I would play with my dolls and kind of like mitigate certain things that I like went through. So like that started the artistry. The reason why I wanted to be an actor was to escape my situation and to go into other people's lives. And eventually that translated into, instead of escaping, I want to portray these feelings and be able to heal in this way. So yeah, definitely. I mean, now, looking back, it sucked what I went through, but it definitely informed, the person that I am now. And it definitely helped me grow as an artist.
I'll tell you a funny story. Because when I was a kid, I was 7 years old. My mom asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. And this was my answer. I swear to God, this is exactly what I said. I want to be a stripper by day and a contract killer at night.
It would be like a John Wick by night.
That was what I wanted.
John Wick shirt.
I was 7 years old. Now, I fell in love with books early on.
Same.
I fell in love with books, and I think my favorite series was the Fear Street series by R.L. Stein.
Ooh.
I'll read them some bitches now. I don't give a damn. Like there's actually one that I still have from 1995. It's called Silent Night 2. And Reva Darby, I'll never forget the characters. She's just one of my favorite characters because she's such a bitch. But such tragedy happens to her, and you expect her to grow from it. She never does. And it's a very interesting story, man. But I love artists because I mean, I'm an artist. I mean, I write. I'm a novelist. I was a MC. I'm still an MC because I can still do it. But I never wanted to be an actor. I always wanted to be a voiceover artist. I always wanted to be a cartoon. You know what I'm saying? Because when I grew up, Animaniacs and Tiny Toon Adventures, Cree Summer is like my spirit animal. You know what I'm saying? I love her to death. what are some of the female, and mind you, I'm a guy, so what are some of the females that you were able to look up to as you were coming up trying to be an actress and see what they were doing?
Like women actresses or
Yeah.
just women overall?
Just I mean, women overall. I mean, hell, tell me who empowered you, girl. Go on now.
Yeah, I mean, definitely like just off the bat, thinking about a woman artist that just was an inspiration. Tina Turner.
Mm.
My mom was a Tina Turner fan, and I watched What's Love Got to Do with It, and then listened to her, and I was just like, oh my God, her voice is just amazing. Like I love specifically with singers and women singers, I love women who can really like have those raspy, deep voices, altos especially. She was one of them, particularly because of the fact that she reinvented herself, after the whole thing with Ike Turner, and went into rock and roll
Yeah.
and completely just dominated that industry. And as a Black woman, I was just like, that's amazing. That is amazing. So she's one of them. In terms of actresses, the actress that played her, Angela Bassett, I love her. I love her just in terms of how to carry yourself as an actress. I just think she has such poise. So educated when it comes to her characters, especially the characters that she's played besides Tina Turner. She the name doesn't pop off in my head right now, but Malcolm X's wife. She's played so
Betty
many
Shabazz.
other. Yes,
Betty
because
Shabazz.
I was like, what's the name? She's played so many other iconic roles that I'm just like, that's what I want to do, and that's kind of who I want to be. So those are the two that come off of my, off the bat. But there are many other ones. But it's interesting that you ask that question, because a lot of times when people ask me like, who's your favorite actress? It's so hard sometimes to think of a favorite actress. It's easy to think of a favorite actor.
Yeah.
And I often have to like do this to myself, because I'm just like, no, they're there. You have, they represent, but actors often get.
I mean, I grew up and I saw a lot of. I grew up. Like my pops was in my life. He wasn't. He was in the crib. He was in my household for a while. He was out. But he was definitely still there. I have older brothers. But for the most part, I grew up around a lot of women. My mom, my sister, my grandmoms, my nieces, like a lot of girls. A lot of girls. So I saw a lot of good empowered women in that regard. And then on TV, I was fortunate. We had Felicia Rashad, Angela Bassett, Whoopi Goldberg, like, you know what I'm saying? These were great actresses, and not even just Black actresses. I mean, because I ain't gonna lie, I think one of my favorite actresses is Gina Davis. And she doesn't.
Oh, she's so good.
She didn't get enough crowd, but a League of Their Own is one of those movies that I will watch now, and it will make me cry, but I'll watch it. Bette Midler, Goldie Hawn, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are actresses like we grew up in a very good era. Like, I don't know your age, but I know we grew up with a lot of great actresses.
Yeah, I just turned 28. Yeah, I just turned 28.
So you're 10 years
92
behind.
baby.
Okay, you're 10 years behind me. All right, I'm 30. You know what I mean? So, but you grew up in an era. You were born in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you grew up in an era of not only a large push on hip hop.
Oh yeah.
You know, they were DMX, the Lost Boys, the Locks, Biggie, Tupac. And then you moved into the era of you know what I'm saying, like social media and computers and all that. Like you literally have bridged the gap. I mean, I have too, because I mean I was born in the 80s, so I got playing outside and there weren't as many pedophiles then. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was 6 years old walking the first grade by my damn self, like this is nothing. You know what I'm saying? Going to school with a letter for cigarettes from my mom's and shit. Like, how did growing up in the city influence you? Not even yours, it's just you, period. Like, how did growing up in the city influence you?
Yeah. So when I was growing up, my mom definitely kept me very sheltered. Mm-hmm. I can see how it affects me now, and I'll definitely touch on that. But growing up in the city, like, So she kept me very sheltered. So I would often see, like, where I grew up, I was on the 21st floor. So I would often, like, see the kids hanging out and all that. She was super protective. So that's why she kept me inside. But growing up, I realized that the city gave me that bit of an edge, you know, like there are times where I switch on and off between like my New Yorker side and my non-New Yorker side to, you know, be able to be more palatable.
Take the
Like
mask
if I'm
off.
customer service, take that, put the mask on. But I realized like, it gave me that edge. It gave me that, like, that it's not that chip on your shoulder, but it's just kind of like, it's that swag. You know, New Yorkers have a swag to them.
Yes,
And it's just because we live very fast. We have to grow up really fast. We become street smart in a way that other people don't. Like I was thinking about I was working at a restaurant like 2 years ago or so, and I was a host, and there was this girl who came from, I don't know, she came somewhere from the Midwest. And she was saying something where I was just like, girl, if you're gonna live in New York City, you need to pick up on certain things. Like if not, you're gonna get taken advantage of. And then I realized, I'm like, Tamar, you're such a New Yorker. That's you. You're native, so you know these things. But it definitely has given me an edge, for sure. On top of that, I move fast. Like when I walk quick. When I talk quick. I've had to learn how to just slow down. Traveling, especially when it comes to New York, I can get anywhere. Because I didn't know exactly where to go.
I believe you.
Yeah.
And have you ever thought about leaving New York?
For sure. And it's like, I have a love-hate relationship with New York. I love it. It's my city and everything, but I don't do well in the cold. You know, my family, we got arthritis. So I'm starting to feel it. I'm just like,
Oh, girl, you better for that. You be all right.
So I mean, I've thought about like doing the West Coast because of course I'm an actor and I love, I do prefer warmer climates. I just prefer that. I do better in the sun, but it's just hard because it's just like, there's no place that I know that's like New York. You know, like there's a friend of mine who he went to California and, you know, he lived there, he loves it. But he did say, he's like, us New Yorkers have a style that you can't really find anywhere else. Like everyone else has their own style, but it's like New Yorkers have that swag, and it's like, if I go somewhere else, can I find someone that also has swag, or am I going to be the only one?
I mean, it's hard. I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm in the mountains. Nobody here has swag, but this mad New Yorkers here. So we bring that aspect of us to it. You know what I'm saying? But I cannot lie. I enjoy the peace and quiet. I enjoy the mountains. I enjoy the ability to go onto my front lawn and sit on my stoop and with my coffee and a joint and watch deer graze across my lawn.
Yeah, here's so stressful. And it's just like, I get, you know, it's the city life. Things move fast. Before COVID, we were the city that never sleeps. Now we've been shut down. But
hold on. Let me ask you something real quick.
No, yeah, go ahead.
How is the city right now? Because, like I said, everybody I know is from Queens. So Queens is a little more spaced out than you are in Manhattan.
Right.
How is the city right now?
I mostly, especially since moving to Brooklyn, I stay in Brooklyn. I do not travel as much, but the city is different. It's different. Bodegas close. You know, bodegas for the most part will stay open 24/7.
24/7, 365.
365. Like they never close. The subway's 24/7. Now they close at 1 a.m. And I'm like,
what about people who work overnight or work, like, what do they got to do? Just chill in the city? They just
exactly. And it's just crazy. And actually, Cuomo, I was just seeing on the Citizen app, Cuomo has, for right now, at the very least, has closed indoor dining.
Yeah, I see that.
It's closed. And you know, New York we're social. Bars, restaurants, clubs, all of that. That's shut down.
It's easy to control people who are afraid. This COVID shit has got people afraid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania, we're about to shut down tonight, 12:01 a.m. Our state is shut down. No restaurant, indoor dining. This is wreaking havoc on the small businesses. You know what I'm saying? I understand the need, but I also don't agree with the methods. This has been a really, really fucking weird year.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. So weird.
For season 2 of my podcast, I'm asking, man, how has 2020 affected you?
It's been a weird year, but for me, it's definitely provided a lot of perspective. Being forced to be indoors has definitely made me it just made me review things because I have time now, you know, to do that. I'm indoors. I'm not that I'm not doing anything, but I have more time to myself. And so it's definitely has allowed me to rest, which is a great thing.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a great thing. And it's allowed me to really reflect, I think, really seeing how other people are handling this pandemic, how the country's handling it, globally, how it's happening. It's been making me think about my place in it, my own philosophies about this and other things. So even though it's been a weird year, and of course, I had the passing of my mom, so that also added another layer of reflection. Right. It's definitely been a year of growth for me, honestly. Even though we've been in lockdown, as an actor, I was able to, do a couple of play readings on Zoom, which was weird, but in a good way, different. It was strange. I was just like, I'm acting in a vacuum. But it was great because it allowed me to showcase my talent in ways I never had before, and it allowed me to do something new. So this year, it's just been a lot of new things, which I like, which has been good. Honestly, I really think that going into 2021, I can take a lot of the things that I learned this year and bring that into that year. So honestly, I feel blessed in that way.
Do you write?
I do. So I do various different kinds of writing. Like, I like to journal entry. That's kind of how I mainly write. I haven't done it in a while, but I also write songs.
Okay.
Trying to get better at that. And I used to write like short stories.
Okay.
But I had writer's block. So I'm trying to
that happens.
I had writer's block and see, the reason why I had writer's block was in high school. I was super into pirates because Pirates of the Caribbean had come out. So I was like, I love pirates. I want to get into that. So I decided that I wanted to write a novel on pirates. And I started outlining the chapters. I was dumb in that someone was like, oh, can I take a look at it? And so I gave them the manuscript of it. And they claimed that they lost it. After that happened, I was like, I don't want to write again. I didn't write for years after that. And so I kind of started picking it up again because I was like, someday I want to write a memoir about my life. I feel like I've done a lot of things. So, I've been slowly getting into it. But sometimes writing is just hard to just put the pen to paper,
I agree. And as a novelist, I've been writing the novel Breed since 1998.
Oh, wow.
In one form or fashion now, and I'm writing it based on just smoking weed conversations with my co-creators in the way, but luckily for me, I have a steel trap memory, and I use my dreams and everything to keep me focused. I learned a long time ago how to control my dreams, and I did that from watching Nightmare on Elm Street. Part 3.
So lucid dreaming?
Lucid dreaming. And now that I don't use fluoride, it's even better.
Nice.
I don't know what type of toothpaste you use.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, oh, I use fluoride. I was already thinking I was bad crap.
Listen, I use a brand called Hello. It's fantastic. There's no fluoride. There's no sodium lauryl sulfate. The stuff that makes your dishwashing liquid suds up and your laundry detergent suds up, it's also in your toothpaste.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
You know what I'm saying? If you go through my page, you'll see me share some things from a friend of mine. Her name is Tamika. She has a company called Xanthine's Cafe. She's a master's of forensic toxicology. She's one of
Nice.
the smartest people I know, and I trust her implicitly. But I didn't learn about the fluoride from her. I actually learned about it from my brother Dwayne. He came home with some neem toothpaste one day, and he was telling me about fluoride, and I laughed at him talking about, you don't know nothing. Fluoride's good for your teeth, and blah, 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 blah. And then we ran out of the regular toothpaste, and I had to use that. And I had nightmares the first week.
Oh man.
And then after that, because my brain wanted that chemical, I didn't realize that my pineal gland was reactivating. So the pineal gland is a gland that's about right here, shaped like a pine cone. And what it does is it allows the flow of serotonin and dimethyltryptamine, DMT, throughout your cerebral cortex. Now, DMT in concentrations is a high psychedelic drug. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you create it naturally. And some rodents create it in their liver and in their pineal gland in there as well. So it's something that occurs naturally in mammals. You know what I'm saying? So the pineal gland, with dimethyltryptamine and serotonin flowing throughout your cerebral cortex, you have a higher cognitive function. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Now, you do tarot cards.
Yes.
First of all, you're a self-professed geek. I know that for a fact. Think about the John Wick shirt, no question. But you do tarot cards, and I'm guessing this is part of the sheltered upbringing busting out at some point.
Yeah.
And you have a podcast called the Bruja Broadcast. Now, I know what a Bruja is. I'm very familiar with that. I dated one for a while. I love her to death. One of my best friends in the whole world. I know what that is.
Yep.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So yeah, the Bruja Podcast, it came about as an idea in 2019. Actually, a friend brought it to me because I would often like post or talk about like astrology, and like, it started with astrology more than anything.
Right.
And she was her and her sister had a podcast that they were like doing on Anchor, the Anchor app. That's where they did their podcast and everything. Yeah, like I love Anchor. Like it made it so easy.
That's where this will be.
Yep, so easy. So she was like, you should do a podcast and call it the Bruja Podcast. And I'm trying to see if that siren's coming past me. I'm like on an avenue.
Yeah, that sounds normal to me. I miss that shit. We don't get that out here.
I'm just waiting for it to pass. I think it's the popo or the ambulance. I don't know who it is.
That's ambulance.
Ambulance. Anytime I hear a siren, I'm just like popo.
I mean, you know, we from New York. That's natural.
Yeah. So yeah, it came out in 2019, and she was like, you should do this podcast. And I was like, well, there's no way that I can like formulate that idea right now, since I have a lot on my plate. So I took a year to like figure it out, to develop it, figure out the how I wanted to do it. And then I launched it at the beginning of this year. And then I added a co-host somewhere along the line. So the Bruja Podcast, for anyone that doesn't know what Bruja means, it means witch in Spanish. And basically, like, I consider myself one, but, you know, it's part of my spiritual, like, journey. But with the tarot cards, it's interesting because I studied astrology first. And, you know, I'm Afro-Latina, and like a lot of Latinos that grow up, they usually grow up listening to Walter Mercado at some point. So for anyone that doesn't know, like,
yeah, I was gonna say, explain that to people who don't know.
Yeah, so anyone that doesn't know, Walter Mercado, he was an astrologer, and usually you would see him on this channel called Univision, which is it's big in Latin America.
Yep.
And he would talk about all the zodiac signs. So usually, like, maybe like on the 5 o'clock news or something, or like in the morning, he would come on and he would tell the horoscopes for every single sign. And usually anyone that was at home, especially mothers that stayed at home cooking or whatever, would want to listen to it. So my mom, being one of those moms, she would work, but sometimes when she would be at home, she would tell me, Tamar, go and listen to what they say about my sign. So she was a Sagittarius. I'm a Scorpio. So she would be like, go listen to my sign. So I would go listen to it. And you're what?
Leo.
A Leo. Okay. Yeah. I love Leos. So she would go listen. I would go listen to it, and I would like report it back to her. And then eventually she gave me a little book on Scorpios, and I started with that.
Right.
And then eventually, once I got internet, I started with Cafe Astrology, which is an OG site.
I
And I
remember
started
that.
to read birth charts.
Right.
And then I went from there and just gathered more and more and more knowledge. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I want to start studying tarot cards. It didn't come naturally to me at first. I tried to like study the system, try to memorize the images. And then eventually what happened was I was like, you know what? I can't do this. So I actually went into like one of those, I don't know if you've been on them, but like on 14th Street, sometimes they have like those crystal shops.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like one of those, and they
Oh.
have, tarot decks. And
Yep.
so I bought a tarot deck and I started to intuitively pick up messages from them. I would do readings for my friends. I would be like, hey, is this accurate? And then eventually I started to do paid readings. So that's how that all came together. And that kind of related to my spirituality, which is just, I'm very much into the esoteric, very much into, I would say, yeah, witchcraft and stuff like that, but it's just anything that's
African
other taboo.
spiritualism.
Spirit, yeah.
African spiritualism, because that's what it was. That's what we had well before anybody thought of any religion or anything like that. We had African spirit, voodoo, hoodoo, Santeria, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same thing, and it's all what we had first. You know what I'm saying? I studied hypnosis. I picked one day I was in the library. I saw a book called Hypnosis for Beginners. I still have that book. I never gave it back. Sorry, New York Public Library. Bill me. But I got into it. I hypnotized a few people. I hypnotized myself. I had one setback that kind of fucked me up a little bit because I was prideful. You know what I'm saying? I was doing it, so I thought I was, and I tried to do something that theoretically is not possible. But I tried because in my hubris, I thought I could do it. Is there a hubris to what you do, or do you genuinely just want to help people?
Definitely it's to help people. And I definitely always try to keep my ego in check, for sure. Because in the spiritual community, there are definitely a lot of people that have that ego to them. They want the clout. There's a lot of people, especially on social media, a lot of tarot readers that are coming out, a lot of brujas that are coming out, and it's an aesthetic for them. And it's really to just get the followers. But I definitely do it to help people. Of course, like I always tell people, like if I didn't have the need for money, obviously if I didn't have to pay bills or anything like that, I wouldn't charge. Right. I wouldn't charge. Right. But because it's an energy exchange and I got to eat, I have to pay bills, the lights on, I got to charge you. But it's to help people. Like whenever I do my tarot readings, especially my tarot readings, I always make sure it's a pleasurable experience for people, because some people, get scammed with tarot readings or they have bad experiences. And so I always try to make sure that they're comfortable, they know what's happening, they can take that knowledge and just become more empowered. Besides healing, I like to use tarot and astrology to empower people, give them knowledge, help them learn about themselves, and make them feel that they've gained a lot of value and knowledge.
Now, one of my first interviews I did live was with the owners of the Crystal Garden, which is a crystal shop up here. And I asked them this question, and I'll ask you too. What do you say to people who be like, yo, this is bullshit. This isn't real. Like this doesn't, like, you're predicting your life based on the stars. What are you, mad? Like, how do you deal with that level of malarkey?
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people to each their own. But what I do tell them is I don't predict things. That's what I tell them. I'm like, I'm not predicting anything. Usually what I'm doing is I'm gaining insight into the person, and sometimes it happens where I'll predict something, but especially with tarot or even with astrology, I guide people. I don't like to predict things because I'm just like, I'm not God. I can't see the future. That's not what this is. I'm guiding you. So I'm very specific with my words. I'm like, I am here to guide you. So like when I do a tarot reading, for example, a person might ask a question like, hey, I'm thinking about This career path, I'm not sure if I should do it. I'm like, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the cards.
And
We're
see
going to
where-
see what it says if you were to go on this path or if you were to not go on this path. This is what it says. This is how it's guiding you. You have the choice to do, you still have free will to choose.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got your deck with you right now?
I do. I have a deck right here.
My birthday is August 6th, 1982.
Okay.
All right.
And I'm shuffling the cards as I'm doing it. So
I'm choosing to do the podcast, and I want it to be a success.
Uh-huh.
All right. I do have a day job, but I don't want to, but generally because of who I am, I don't want to work for other humans. Is this a good venture for me? Or should I focus? I mean, because I'm still writing my book, because I'm still writing Breed, but I definitely want to be able to do both. I want to be able to write my novel, and I want to be able, my novels, because it's a hell of a series that we plotted out, and I want to do this. So can I do both of those things and be happy?
Okay, let's take a look. I'm just shuffle them.
This is my
So you
first
say-
ever. This is my first ever tarot reading, y'all. Live
Oh,
on the
really?
Just to
Is
Be
this
Frank
your first one?
podcast. Yeah.
Okay, so just to make sure, you want to see if you can do both the podcast and like be a writer or write the book?
Be a writer.
Be a writer.
Can I do? I mean, will both work for me?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Or should I focus my energies on one or the other?
Okay. All right. I'm gonna pull out. I'm gonna do 6. Hold on, 6 cards. Okay. I'll show you the cards also, so that you can like take a look at it.
Okay.
But so I just pulled out 6, and I like to sometimes look at the card underneath. So I'll show you that. So what I'm seeing is you definitely want to, not that it's impossible, but you want to focus on one.
Okay.
As opposed to like trying to do both, and I'll explain why. But like the first card that you got is the Emperor card. So this deck in particular is the Modern Witch Tarot.
Okay.
So it's basically, I don't know if you've ever seen like a normal tarot deck. Like have you ever seen like the
I've seen tarot decks before.
I'm referring to like the universal weight deck. So that's like the usual tarot deck that most people think of when they see tarot. That's like the normal deck.
I'd have to believe, yes, I've seen that, but I mean
yeah, no worries. This is just basically a modern version of it.
Okay.
So like the Emperor card, it corresponds to the zodiac sign Aries. So it's definitely telling you either one of these two to definitely go for. It's just doing both. What I'm seeing is doing both at the same time won't grant you the happiness, and I'm going to explain why. This card, the 10 of Cups in reverse,
oh wow,
that's a card that means unhappiness or like not being fulfilled, especially like in your passion. And the card that you got next to it was a Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Now the Pentacles suit refers to like money, job, or resources. So in reverse, it's not exactly a good look to go for both.
Okay. Now let me just interject something.
Yeah.
Money is not a motivating factor for me.
No, of course.
Okay.
So
like money is like 20th on the list. Like money's not a thing. Like I get that I need it, but for the most part, it's not very important to me. Things aren't important to me.
With that's good. That's good to know. See, the Pentacles doesn't always refer to like necessarily money all the time. It can refer to like resources, things that materially you can hold, things that are tangible, things you can trade with. In this case, it's the Knight of Pentacles, so it sometimes refers to a person. This could even be you. And what I'm seeing is like if you were to do both, even so, for example, the Pentacles can also even refer to time, because time is a resource.
Right, of course.
You know, so you might be stretching yourself too thin if you were to do both at the same time. The card that you got after the Knight of Pentacles, which was why I saw that it's good if you do go to one of them, it's just not both. The Seven of Pentacles.
Okay.
Now this is upright. Seven of Pentacles refers to, it's about, if you look at the card, she's got pentacles on plants.
Right.
She's watering her plants.
Right.
So it's about growth. It's about patience. It's about something that you've been working on for a while.
Right.
For a while, like I'm thinking about the book more than the podcast, because you mentioned that has been something that you've been working on for a while. Right. Something that you have even nurtured and cultivated for some time, that you put time into. You may have edited, you may have tweaked in certain ways.
Oh my God.
That is what you want to go towards. Now, the card that comes after the Seven of Pentacles is the Two of Swords in reverse.
Okay.
This, I'm going to show it to you upright. This is a woman or is a person that's holding two swords or blindfolded. This is usually choosing between two different things, right? Now, in reverse, a lot of times what this means is like indecision. Okay. Kind of going in between one or the other, wishy-washy, or maybe even, like, I don't really feel that you're wishy-washy about it.
Trepidatious. Let's say trepidatious.
But the thing is, like, the way that I put the cards and, like, what I tend to do sometimes when I
lost you.
Picture.
Hold on, your sound is off a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but you sound...
Oh, no.
Oh, there you go.
Better?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, I just, like, increased the volume on my phone. What I tend to do when I do readings is I take a picture of the card so that people can see the layout of it and they can understand it. I didn't get so much the wishy-washiness. It's more of, since this card was right below the Ten of Cups in reverse, I get more of just having to balance both might cause unhappiness for whatever reason. If we had more time, sometimes what I would do is I would kind of pull out another deck and I would shuffle and I would actually read those cards with other cards. But what I'm getting is just having to balance both, or the responsibilities of both, or even maybe planning how to do both might cause some unhappiness. It's not that you can't do both, but right now that's not what I see for you. What I see that's better for you is to focus on one, and then you can, do the other. Perhaps with one, you can actually make money and then focus on the other thing. The final card that comes out with this is the Ace of Wands in reverse. Now, the Wands card usually refers to like things that you're passionate about, things that fulfill you, that light you up. The Wand suit is it references the element of fire, so that's why I say like things that light you up. Now, in reverse,
all day, baby.
in reverse, sometimes what this means is like again, because you asked the question, can you do both? If you were to do both, you might just end up not wanting to do it because you just might like lose passion for it because you're being stretched so thin with both, which is why I see that what's better for you is to focus on whatever it is that you put time into. Right. Whatever that is. Now, what's interesting is sometimes what I tend to do when I do readings is I'll look at the bottom of the deck just to kind of see like what the overall energy is. And the energy is the Hermit. I don't know if you can see, but it's a person that is, they're near their computer. The Hermit card usually refers to the zodiac sign Virgo, right? Which is a planning sign. Very good at planning, very good at getting work done. But at the same time, having to have that time to yourself to utilize things that you've learned in your life. So sometimes when I see the Hermit card, I think of like a wise person, a person that's learned a lot of things through life. And so that, to me, when I see all these other cards, the advice that I get for you is to be wise in terms of utilizing your time and the things that you've learned in your life. I feel like there's lessons you've learned in your life that will help you in terms of guiding you with this. Like, for example, sometimes we learn how to work smarter because of the things that we've gone through in life. We know how to not get ourselves burnt out. We're wiser because of the situations we've gone through. So in terms of this, the wise thing I think to do would be to focus on one, at least for now. Perhaps eventually later on in the future, you can learn how to balance both. But what I'm seeing is that it might stretch you thin if you were to do both.
Mm.
Now, if you wanted to, because, you know, there's some people that are like, I heard what you said, Tamar, but I don't want to do that. If you wanted to do both, I would just advise you to plan, to really plan, be like a Virgo, you know, if you need to get some spreadsheets in terms of how to spend time, get a schedule going, just because, again, it could stretch you thin. There might be things that you don't foresee in terms of doing both of these things that will just, you know, burn you out possibly.
All right. So
yeah.
After hearing that, I'll share this with you. So, as I said, I've been writing Breed in some form or fashion since 1997. And I had a real good stretch. Like, I have about 21 chapters done. It's going to be about 50 chapters. You know what I'm saying? Like, this, the part that I'm at right now, it's almost the very end of this first part. The second part is actually already complete because it's told in comic book form. And then the third part is sort of a biography of the main villain and a little glimpse into like the daily activities of some of the main characters in a specific time frame. And then the final part is the end, which is the, you know, conclusion. Now, technically, all of these parts have been written out in one form or fashion or another, but they definitely require rewriting, editing, you know, because I'm much better at it now.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this. I love doing this. I genuinely do. Like, I love writing Breed, but I love doing this. Because it allows me to engage with people in a way that I wouldn't necessarily have done. That was poor grammar. Sorry. It's important to me. So that's very interesting that you say that. And then the schedule that I set in my head is that on my days off, which are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. So Tuesday, I'd record an episode or two. Wednesday, I would edit, and then Friday, I would write. Now, so far, that's pretty much been what's happening. But I do find myself focusing a lot more on doing this. Problem with that is what I'm writing isn't just about it's not just my creation. I'm not the only one who helped put a hand in the creation of that. So I don't want to let them down either. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's that trepidation that comes to mind for that. You know, and I ain't gonna lie to you. Like I said, this was my very first tarot card reading.
How was it?
It was a lot less painful than I thought it'd be, and I'm glad that what do they say? The death card didn't come up.
The death card isn't always a bad card, though.
Know, but the perception of that is just like, like. But I am very, very happy I got to do that. That was very fun and very enlightening. Because again, it's not because I'm not one of those people who doesn't believe in things. The only thing I don't really believe in is religion. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a firm knowledge that there is indeed a God, Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever the hell you want to call them. Like firmly of that. I'm okay with that concept. But all the other fantastical shit, none of that makes sense to me. Great stories, fantastic shit. Love Greek mythology too. I love Norse mythology. I love any epic stories of heroes and villains and you know what I'm saying? So that to me is a very interesting thing, because again, it's not something that I don't like. I'm not one of those non-believers. I genuinely believe that nothing is out of the realm of possibility.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And if you put enough energy into anything, everything can be real. You know what I'm saying?
I do believe in that as well, yeah.
So with that said, what is the next move for Tamar Lopez? And I ain't gonna lie, there are like 47 different times I want to call you Tamar Janice Beth.
I mean, that is my middle name. That is my
That
middle
is your
name.
middle name?
That's my middle name, yeah. That's my
Okay.
middle name.
I like that. It's a beautiful name. I genuinely enjoy that. And you went a little low on your volume again, but genuinely, if honestly, that's a stage name.
Yeah? Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, you're a little better. Yeah. Tamar Janice Beth is a hell of a stage name.
I might consider that because I've been thinking about like, what do I want my stage name to be if I'm an actor? Like Tamar Lopez is okay, but that's good to know. Tamar Janice Beth. I'm gonna
I listen.
keep that in mind.
My real name is Francis Oglesby. Doesn't sound as good as Frank Starfyre.
Starfyre, yeah. Starfyre is
Yes.
common.
You know what I mean? Like that sounds good, you know. But so what's next for you? What are you trying to, I mean, after the lockdown is over, knock on wood if that ever fucking happens, but you said you want to move to California. Is that what's in the
Yeah,
cards?
I mean that's like within probably the next 5 years kind of thing.
Okay.
But definitely like within the next year, hopefully this lockdown, lifts and we have a vaccine, all that kind of stuff. What I want to do is just go ahead and definitely realizing my notes. I really want to get into it.
You got to fix your volume again. You're cutting. Yeah.
Is that better?
It went.
In and out.
Yeah, it went a little tinny for a second, but
Yeah, I think it's probably like my phone. It's just like enough. I'll just like hold on to the volume so that it stays up.
there you go.
I just, like I said, I just want to go ham when it comes to acting. I really want to get into film. Really want to get in, my face out there. One of the things that I'm working on actually for this upcoming year, because I'm really shy about my singing. I've always been so shy about sharing that I can sing. So I've actually been working on just showcasing that talent. So that's kind of like what's next for me in the cards, in terms of like this next upcoming year. And that's at least for now. Honestly, the way that my life has worked is a lot of times I don't always have a plan per se, and things just fall into place. People just ask me to do things. I audition for something, opportunities come up, and I'm like, yes, that's it.
You gotta let the universe work.
Basically, yeah.
You gotta let the universe work. And I genuinely believe that you can do great things. You know what I'm saying? Because again, we met through Facebook. This is literally our first face-to-face person, like voice conversation, and your energy, your vibe, your everything is fantastic. The best advice I would give you is write scripts. All that stuff you were writing, you were doing with your dolls and all that back in the days, and your imaginary friends and all that. Write that shit out. If it can, and get off the fluoride. You know what I'm saying?
I'm about to go look at like how much toothpaste I have left.
Fluoride, the Hello Brand, Tom's of Maine, Dr. Bronner's, they all make great toothpaste that have no fluoride. But I ain't gonna lie, that is something that I would definitely think will help you in your creative endeavors, because it will allow you to tap into other parts of your mind that you wouldn't necessarily even be aware of. The idea that we only use 10% of our minds is a myth. That's not true. You know what I'm saying? Because everything you do is controlled by a different part of your brain. So how can you only use about 10% of it? You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Like a lot of the things we were taught were completely wrong. You know what I'm saying? And especially the idea that being from where we're from, you can't prosper and still be from where you're from. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You can. And I'll tell you the best advice I ever received. It was on a dot matrix printout on my teacher's classroom wall. It said, "You're not allowed to curse in my classroom. The word can't is a curse word."
I like that.
Cut that out, cut that word out of your vocabulary, and you'll be amazed at what you can do, because I can accept I don't know how. I can accept I need help. But to simply say I can't do something, you completely diminish your spirit for everything. You know what I'm saying? And go forth and do great things. Tamar, it was a fucking pleasure talking to you.
I had so much fun. I love doing this.
Word out.
Thank you so much for having me on.
We can do it again. You have an open invitation. You are more than welcome. Let me know when you start the Bruja podcast. I will definitely support it and send, link it into this and everything. You know what I'm saying? This was phenomenal, and I appreciate you for doing this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was awesome. You have yourself a blessed night. Make sure you save me some of that spaghetti though next time, with some garlic bread. You know what I'm saying? Because
we'll do the whole grain pasta.
Yeah, man. And when this is all over and this whole pandemic shit is helped, are you gonna get the vaccine?
Most likely. What I want to do is see how the trials are. I want to see, how it affects people, if there's any side effects, before I actually go and do it, just because I know the history of this country sometimes with vaccines and, people of color.
Mm-hmm. Tuskegee.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. And it's like, I want to be safe, but also I'm not dumb.
Right.
I know the history. So, but most likely, because I get the flu shot. So most likely.
You know what? I've never had a flu shot.
Really?
Nope. And I've also never had a flu. So
there we go.
It was funny. The lab that makes the flu shot is not far from me. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, the Sanofi Pasteur, they make the flu shot. They make a bunch of vaccines over there. Yeah, you know what, Pet? I ain't gonna lie. If you were just looking to get away from the city for a couple of years before you moved to California, you couldn't do better than Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania?
I can't lie. You know what? Fuck Jersey. It's Jersey, okay? It's fucking Jersey. I love you, Jersey. You know what I'm saying? I like you to death, but damn, you're Jersey. But no, but no. I ain't gonna lie. For what people are paying for a studio apartment in New York, that's a 5-bedroom house with a quarter of an acre of land here.
Oh no, that makes me so sad. Like it's good for people of Pennsylvania, but oh God.
Yeah, I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? Like there's something to be said for being able to come out on your lawn and just and
Right.
I ain't gonna lie. You say you have writer's block. Sometimes a change of environment is also very good for that. This energy of the city can stagnate you. I know that very well. You know what I'm saying? So even if you don't move here, but just come out, go to one of the resorts and just take a couple days and chill in the nature. You know what I'm saying? Bring a camera, take some pictures. You know what I'm saying? Live in the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the best advice I can, especially for a creative soul like yourself. Getting away from the city can sometimes be the best thing for you.
You know what? Especially like once lockdown kind of goes away, that's definitely something I want to do. Is like plan just a couple of days out in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And of course, by all means, come on here to the Poconos and come sit on the couch, and then we can do this in person, and we can really enjoy it. And you know what I'm saying? Because shit, bring your hubby. You know what I'm saying? Please, man, we'll barbecue, man. We'll throw something on the fire pit and shit. You know what I'm saying? We'll hook it up, man. Right up.
Yeah.
We'll do good, you know? Tamar Lopez, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure shout out your social media to the people. Let them know where to find you, and tell them where you're at.
Yeah, so I have a few Instagram handles, but definitely at the Bruja Podcast. You can also find me at the Modern Day Bruja on Instagram. I also have an actor's account known as Diary of a Theater Kid. And if you want my personal Instagram account, it is 6MamaVoodoo9.
That's the one I got.
Yeah.
Well, listen, do me a favor. Send me all that so I can put them in the description and all that. Just hang out for one moment, and
Sure.
we'll get right there. All right.
Awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tamar Lopez, ladies and gentlemen, clap it up for her. Thank you for joining us on the Just to Be Frank podcast, man. Give me 1 second. We'll be right there. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back on the Just to Be Frank podcast. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Tamar Lopez. That's funny. No, that's Tamar Lopez. That was fun, man. I ain't gonna lie, that was my very first ever tarot card reading, and it was exactly what I thought it would be. Kind of weird, but overall enjoyable and insightful. So I definitely appreciated that. Listen, man. All I can say is live life, have fun, do what you can, help others, treat every person with love and respect, man, especially when it's hard to do, because it can be very hard to do sometimes, because mainly people are assholes. And I'll always say that it takes a lot more strength of character to be positive than it does to be negative. So be strong, be positive, and spread that shit all throughout the cosmos, baby. I am Frank Starfyre. This has been the Just to Be Frank podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Like I said, I'll leave the links for her podcast and her social media in the description. Thank you for joining me. One love. Abracadabra. All right. Hey, what up, y'all? It's your boy Frank Starfyre, host of the Just to Be Frank podcast. If you like what you hear, do me a favor. Please like, subscribe, and share so I can keep bringing you the best content imaginable. And if you want to be a guest on the Just to Be Frank podcast, shoot me an email at frankstarfyre696@gmail.com. Right there. Don't worry. It's right there. I got you. Don't worry. You know what I mean? I got one good eye, but I make magic and shit. Trust me. Have a good one, y'all. Abracadabra. One love.